All right, everybody, welcome to episode number 9 of the Novice Healing Artist Podcast. My name is Joaquin Roland, and I am so stoked to be here today. Happy New Year. It is the first episode of 2024. I think it's January 10th today. I took a couple weeks off. Got to spend some quality time with my family. It was excellent, most excellent. And so today's episode, we are going to talk about healing arts community. Okay, and that's what I'm wanting to create here. That's my full intention, is to create a supportive place where everybody's welcome, all walks of life, all practices, all interests. This is a place where it's a community. It's a place. Okay, it's a space, a green space, a generous one, a generating space, a heart space that is extremely inclusive, that is open-minded. As your guide here, as a leader in this community, I am coming with an open heart and a beginner's mind, which to me is a very open mind. I have I would say was 2024 now. I got into the healing arts in 1999. So I'm on 25 years in the field, first as a novice, then as an expert. And so today I'm going to share with you a bit of my journey and how I just even made it here to being on this microphone in front of a camera, talking to people. And it's exciting. So here, we're an educational community focusing on the transformation, healing power of energy medicine. And so by all things necessary energy medicine, we are going to speak about. It could be the wind, it could be which represents the air element, it could be the earth. One day we're going to be talking about, which is the earth element, water. The 5 elements are a huge part and play a huge role in the human experience. And that's what, it's something that's unseen that I like to make seen. And I feel like that's one of my missions in life, is to make the unseen seen. As a poet, as a songwriter, as a performer, as an educator and a teacher. That's what you have here. I'm an edutainer. That's what I like to call myself. Again, it's a total honor to just be on this microphone and hanging out with you for the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So I just want to get into this idea that we're all heroes, on our healing journey, okay, our transformational healing journey, and that everybody is a hero, that you are a hero on your transformational healing journey. And at some point in time in our hero's journey, we might have the honor and opportunity to become a guide. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to A, be your guide, or B, show you your way to being a guide, which is super cool. It's beyond cool. Cool is such a shallow word. It's magnificent. It's marvelous. We're moving at the speed of marvelous. So yes, everybody. I mean, it's a beautiful shift in paradigm to see everybody as a hero, fighting their own nemesis, whatever they may be. And as a human, they're pretty universal. We're up against self-doubt. We're up against doubt from other selves, from people in our family. We're up against time. We don't have enough time. We're working to make the ends meet, to make things happen for our family so that, our children can eat and have a, shelter over their head. Or what else are we up against? We're up against a medical system that would rather have us serve them versus them serve us, where they're monopolizing everything, where they are making us and our families and our parents go bankrupt for a medicine that nature can provide. Again, I like to say suggestion is the greatest medicine. And so with that, we are the medicine makers. And it's truly up to us in a lot of ways. And what we're up against is a pharmaceutical industry, an insurance industry, a medical industry that would rather have us believe that we are powerless, that we are not part of nature, and that they are the only option, and that the price of not doing business with them is so grave that you will be 6 feet under. And this is such a fallacy, okay? And so our nemesis in the Novice Healing Artist podcast, blog, this journey, human touch, the elements of energy medicine, for our novice healing artists, is the nemesis is that thinking that we are powerless, that we are subjects to, that we are the product to this industry, this pharmaceutical industry, that they'd rather have us take their pills versus the plants. And so next episode number 10, will be Plants Over Pills episode again, and we're gonna rail against it again. It's gonna be so much fun. There is no joy in that field, in the pharmaceutical industry. There's no joy. They express joy in these commercials as if, like, everyone walks around in glowing white robes and life is hunky-dory, but it's such a tell, right? It's such projection that it's pretty dark. It's kind of dark energy, guys. It's crazy. So maybe we become a guide where we're like, hey, we see someone on their hero's journey and they're going this direction, this route, and they're like, maybe you kind of get to be that person that steps in and says, maybe there's another way. I feel like we're all very reasonable people, especially us hardworking people. We're reasonable, we're grounded, we want to be safe. And I just want to say that there's many right ways to getting to health. I'm a very simple man. And so when I think of getting to health, I'm thinking of sleep, I'm thinking of hydration, I'm thinking of diet, I'm thinking of relationships. Those are my top 4 things right there. And then it can go on and on. From therapies, and just there's so many amazing things we could do in the form of self-care. And that's where we're going to be focusing on self-care a lot in this community, in this form, on this podcast. So yeah, speaking of a resource, I'm here to confidently champion my work and what I do. And so for the last 20 years, I've been focusing on a style of hands-on energy medicine, body work, and somatic therapy. And it's been super successful. I've had such an honor to help people change their lives for the better. The beautiful thing of it all is that they do it. I'm just a conduit. I'm just holding a structure and a space for them to function in safely and to get their answers and to move forward on them. And that is sustainable transformation. That's healing. So yeah, what I'm offering right now is I'm offering in-person classes. I've got an in-person class coming up in April. It's going to be in Grass Valley. It's a 3-day retreat in Grass Valley, April 26th and 28th. There'll be more information on my website. So if you just type, JoaquinRoland.com, you go to live classes, you'll check out the retreat. It's going to be amazing. And then next one will be an online class, my first online class for the Human Touch. And that'll be every Tuesday night from 6 to 9 p.m. So it's kind of timed for people that are working. Every Tuesday night in March. So March 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th. And for more info, you can again go to JoaquinRoland.com. I'll have the links in the show notes on YouTube and on my RSS feed. And then the last thing I'm really excited about sharing is about 2 times a week, for about 4 to 5 hours each week, I'm offering free 30-minute somatic EM sessions. And it could be a brainstorm, it could be a long check-in, we could run a process. Whatever it is that you need, we'll figure it out and we can make a plan moving forward. So really stoked about that. So definitely click the link on that, and I'll have that clearly offered in the show notes. So speaking of community, I think it's gonna be a theme here. I want to hear your hero's journey. I want to hear where you've been, where you're heading, where you're going. If you're new to the healing arts, welcome. If you want to start, moving into the healing arts, this is a great place to be. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things. We'll have amazing guests here. Probably start off with my mentor, Bruce, but that'll come with time. Right now, I'm going to be blogging the contents of my book. And so back to the contents of my book. The book starts off with an origin story. And like we all do. Every hero has an origin story. And so my story starts with being 8 years old in Mazatlan, Mexico. And I'm just being a wild, crazy little kid, boogie boarding. And then I had this idea of my first philosophy, which was to get it before it gets me, to be preemptive. And because I was getting pummeled by the waves, incessantly, the waves just kept pummeling me, and I just got sick and tired of it. And so I said, I'm going to get the wave before it gets me. And so I see this huge swell way out there in the distance, and I paddle out to it, and I turn around, and this swell, the timing is different. And it just keeps throwing the water underneath. It just keeps growing. And I start to second guess this whole thing. I'm like, oh, whoa. And I shimmy off my board, and I think that I could go the other way. And then a voice in my head's like, you are the wave, Jack. And I was like, what? And I said, fuck it. So I jump on the board. As I'm jumping on the board, the front end of the board is curling into the wave as the wave is breaking. And it just flings me, shoots me down. And I flip down and get crushed, bam. And then taken just down, so deep down to the bottom, and just ragdolled. And usually I can jump right back up. And this time it was not the case. And so here I am trying, and it just was not happening. And I'm taking in salt water. I'm drowning. And I'm seeing images flash, zipping, it was a reel of images flashing, and I was losing consciousness. And I heard a voice again said, all right, Jack, last chance. And Jack's my nickname. And so I tried one last time. I mean, this was going to be it. I would have been washed up on shore, practically dead. And so I try, and I gasp, and I get air. I barely catch air. It feels like I'm stumbling to the shore, and I notice immediately that I went through that whole thing by myself, that nobody saw it, not even my grandfather, who was out there on the beach chilling. And I see this guy with his muscles, and he's like got his shirt off, and he looks all oiled up. And I'm like, you think you're big, you think you're bad. I'm like, you're no better or bigger than the newest baby born. And I had this realization that, we're all equals. Doesn't matter who you are. We're all equal. And I go over to my grandfather and tell him I almost died. And tell him to go get me a Coke. I order him around. I felt so huge. I felt bigger than anything, anybody. Like energetically, I felt abominable. It was truly the word. I felt huge. And so we make it back home, have lunch and dinner, and just a normal night with grandma and grandpa in Mexico. As a kid, that was how it was in the summer. And I wake up literally almost like with some sort of energy. Something grabbed my neck and took me to the toilet, and it's like getting me to heave and puke, and I'm trying to scream for my grandmother. And this was like a second death. Like this is a near death 2.0, because they call this dry drowning. And so I'm screaming for my grandma, and it's blank. Nothing's coming out, and I am screaming and nothing is coming out. It's blank, and I'm throwing up, and I'm like drowning again. And I'm going through this whole traumatic thing, and a voice again comes into my head and says, you have to exercise this death if you want to live. And I was like, what? Okay. I mean, like, this was just all so much coming through. And I committed to it, and I got through it, and I got to finally scream my grandma's name, just grandma. And then boom, I'm in her arms and cleaning me up, and like life is good again. But life was never the same for me. From there, I saw things in a much deeper, energetic way. I related to people in a more connected, energetic way, I would say, even though I didn't know that, but it all rings true looking back on my life. My style of leadership, just everything shifted. My ability to read people was like spot on, was amazing. And so it was truly an origin story, and it just led from other amazing things from there, like just being brave to like being a creative artist in my community in the Bay Area, where being creative was not really seen as being cool. So I was like silently writing poetry, doing my thing, sharing it with my grandma. My grandma was like my muse, and she kept saying, gotta keep doing this. And luckily that's what stuck with me. I'm still an athlete, but it's just it's not the number one thing for me. Being an artist, being a poet, being a writer, being an educator, a thinker, outweighs all that. And I'm so glad I got to cut through that illusion, and just be standing here today. That's just one of many origin stories, and we all have this, and I know you do too, and I want to hear your story. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you win the day. And and timing is everything. I'm very rhythmic, and I would love this quote by Rudolf Steiner, which he would say, rhythm replaces strength. Says like, so someone with like strength and brute force was hammering nails, they wouldn't be as efficient as someone who was just precisely hammering with rhythm, hammering those nails right in, versus someone crushing nails, bending nails, wasting time, right? So rhythm replaces strength. I live by that saying in a lot of ways. The other saying you'll hear me say it a lot is the only way out is through. And that is definitely my philosophy when it comes to healing and helping people untie their knots, right? Because how do you untie a knot? You got to get the other side out. Yeah. So just some things to think about. So the only way out is through. You got to take that other end and you got to put it right back through, right? To get to a rope with no knots, right? So that's how I see health issues. I see them as knots. You know, we can untie them. There's many ways to do it. So there's not just one way. And you'll never hear me say my way is the only way. It just isn't. I have some great techniques. I have some great ways, but it's up to you. It's up to us. You know, it's a beautiful thing. So getting right back to it. So yeah, I'm just stoked to share my origin story. It's in the book. It's at the beginning. We spoke a bit about what we're up against, you know, in the healing arts world. I always said my greatest competition is ignorance. People don't know exactly what I can do for them until they experience it. So get on a free 30-minute session, sample what I can do for you. Honestly, I fully believe in myself. If you ever work with me and we're working together, I guarantee my work. Guarantee. So ignorance, I would say greed when it comes to the nemesis on this healing hero's journey. The nemesis is greed, the greedy industry, the greedy pharmaceutical industry, insurance, and medical industry, keeping natural therapies suppressed. It's a real thing. It is a real thing. And we got to see it firsthand during the COVID lockdown and all that. And we'll go deeper into that. Everything's a choice and we all make our choices and that's all good. You know, self-doubt, again, that's just a continual regular thing. Lots of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Yeah, so this is about community. This is where I want you to feel safe, to be you. We're gonna do self-care processes. You're gonna learn meditations, visualizations. We're gonna learn ways to stimulate the vagus nerve, release the fight or flight in the nervous system, and ultimately we're gonna have fun. And that's just how I like to keep it. I like to keep things light. I like to be real. I do like to be authentic. Yeah, and so with this, I'm feeling pretty complete in our session today. If I could leave you with the one quote is rhythm replaces strength. I want you to go with that and go forth with that. What kind of rhythm can you create in your life that can become a strength? So, for example, in my, this is a simple one. This is a rhythm. This is a constant that I do. I'm drinking water. Water is a big deal. I have always, every night, a big jar of water next to me because I live in a high and dry climate up in the mountains, and I know I need it, and I want to stay hydrated. I don't want to get dehydrated. So that's a rhythm that has become a strength that I feel I've benefited from. So there's so many right ways. Like I said, I'm looking forward to next week's Plants Over Pills episode. So I'm going to do some studying on that, what I want to talk about and share. Love to tell stories. I want to hear your story. There's so many ways you could share it. You can email me. I'll leave my email in the show notes. I'll leave the link to the 30-minute somatic EM session and as well as the 2 workshops I'm teaching this spring. So thrilled to be here, so honored, and may all beings become peaceful, happy, and free. Oh. Yeah. All right, have a lovely week. Always. Whatever week this finds you. Have a lovely day.